Is a video I'd love to watch. The truth about every Genshin killer game. Yep, new game comes out that looks halfway decent. Guys, this one's the Genshin killer, baby boy. Yep, yes sir.
Have you ever thought to yourself, why is it that every single time a new gacha game comes out, people immediately call it the Genshin killer? And
you want to know why? Because everybody's tired of Genshin and they just want a game that's better so they can stop playing the fucking game. That's the reason. They just want a game that actually is fun again, that kills this game so everybody leaves, because these are the people who only want to play the popular thing. The next games that have the ability to be a Genshin killer is not Arknights Enfield. It is not. Arknights Enfield will do very good. It will do very good, but that's going to have a very specific niche audience. And that's fine. That's what I think you should go for. The next true contender for Genshin killer is Ananta. That's it. Because that game has the ability to pop off very fucking hard if they deliver on... They're going to have to deliver on everything, to be honest.
why does it send people into an absolute...
Because we all know, and I've been saying this for 5 years, the Genshin killer, their name is Hoyoverse.
meltdown? Seriously, you would think that someone just insulted their mother. In reality, they're just probably watching a Glaive Kyo video. The second a new gacha game gets the Genshin killer label, the usual suspects come crawling out of the woodworks.
Oh, that's why I put Genshin killer on everything. It drives these retards fucking nuts. I love it.
Twitter threads, unhinged YouTube rants,
Yep.
Reddit essays longer than a Google Doc of a smelly rap. The complaints? It is just clickbait. No game will ever kill my Genshin.
Oh, absolutely, it's clickbait. But here's the reality, man. Genshin is already dead from like a content creation perspective, unless you're pandering to children. And I mean that genuinely. And if you want to prove me wrong, then name me one successful Genshin Impact creator who is not pandering to children. Who? Can you stop saying you? I don't play the fucking game. What are you on about, bro? Giga covers anime. I'm saying a Genshin Impact content creator. Ziox, Tawano, Dish, Enviosity, Doro, Bran, all of their content is targeted towards children. That's it. That is the only viable content is Genshin, is the content made for kids. So yeah, it is dead if you're above 18. Just like Zajeff's sex life. Cool, let's keep going here.
Impact? Stop comparing them, just enjoy both. As if the entire gaming industry isn't built on competition. But here's the reality. As much as people pretend to hate the term, they can't stop talking about it.
Hey, to be fair, guys, Zajeff called me a rapist. All right, so, hey, the gloves are off. I am not holding back on that guy. I'm gonna just keep it a buck.
Outrage, the debates, the thousands of reaction videos, that is exactly why it works. The people who pretend to be above it can't help themselves. Like, I'm so tired of this drama. Proceeds to watch every single 20-minute video talking about it. Like, buddy, you are the drama. But here's the thing. This so-called annoying label isn't just marketing gimmick. It actually forces the genre to improve. When a new game gets slapped with a Genshin killer title, it is thrown into a high-stakes battle it never even signed up for. No trial period, no warm-up, just straight into the deep end. And suddenly, the expectations are sky high. If we're talking about
sky high, aka just be better than Genshin, which I'll be real, it's just not that hard. That game is ass, and we know it's ass.
A regular gacha game, it can probably get away with just being okay. A Genshin killer, it has to prove itself at a very high level. It's not enough to just have pretty waifus and flashy combat. At this point, almost every gacha game has that. It has to do better. Whether that's fairer monetization, deeper gameplay, or an actual endgame that isn't just collecting primo gems like Johnny Somali.
Zajeff touched my sister? How old was your sister, Emork? Wait, You're the sister? Oh, yo, Zajeff, man, you better get on those allegations, man. It is not looking good. How many of y'all did Zajeff hurt? Speak up, guys.
Collecting jail time. And guess what? That pressure works. Because now, new gacha games can't just copy-paste the same formula and expect people to eat it up. They have to innovate or get laughed off the stage like how they did to Tower of Fantasy. Meanwhile, the top dogs like, oh, I don't know, a certain multi-billion-dollar game actually have to try instead of coasting on fan loyalty. You think Genshin suddenly introducing a new endgame mode was just coincidence? The 5-star selector, the weapon banner,
and it was so good, right, guys? Man, the Imaginarium Theater, it was so good. good.
No, that is what happens when a new game enters the ring and people start asking questions. Calling something a big gacha game killer isn't about predicting a game's demise. It is about making sure no one gets too comfortable. And if your favorite game needs to be protected from competition, maybe it's not as untouchable as you think. Now, let's not pretend that the Genshin killer label just appeared out of thin air. Tectone practically invented it. And if you spend any time in the gacha community, you've seen Tectone sling that term around like it's a hawk to a coin rug pull scam. Love him or hate him, the guy has a knack for riling people up and keeping the chatter alive. Every time a new gacha drops, you can bet he's already got a video up asking if it's the one. And whether you agree,
and it makes him mad every time. It makes them so mad every time, bro. It's so funny. It's so funny.
agree to his takes or think he's just farming engagement, you can't deny that he shaped the people talk about these games. What he's really doing isn't just stirring the pot, it's keeping the conversation alive. By throwing bold claims into the mix, he forces people to actually look at these games, compare them, and figure out what works and what doesn't. It's not about predicting Genshin's downfall, it's about making sure that new releases don't get ignored.
It's also about making sure that people understand that a lot of these games were built off of the blueprint of what Genshin did to Breath of the Wild. And the malpractices that Genshin is currently experiencing and currently doing, we will see the ripple effects of this into other games. Now, I will say Genshin Impact forced a lot of these new entities to have to innovate how good their games are. However, all of the predatory practices they built it up to in order to support a foundation of a game that big, we're now seeing in other games everywhere. And making the community aware of those things and being cognizant and being cautious is super important to me.
Might call it pure clickbait, but in today's digital age, that is just smart content creation. Tectone's dramatic takes might seem excessive, but without them, half of these games wouldn't even make it into people's radar. So here's the Tectone, provoking controversy, driving conversation, and ensuring that every new release is at least given a fair shot in the arena. You know,
I'm very curious to the comments.
what else thrives on competition? Content creation. Unlike billion-dollar game studios, independent creators like me rely on actual community support. If you are enjoying this video and want to see more deep dives, hot takes, or just me ranting about gacha nonsense, consider joining the channel membership. Members get exclusive videos, behind-the-scenes content, and probably some bonus rants that definitely wouldn't make it into a normal upload. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can support the channel through my Streamlabs link in the description. Because keeping up with the gacha news is not keeping up with the Kardashians. It's a full-time job. And unfortunately, Hoyoverse is not cutting me a sponsorship. Huge thanks to everyone who's already supporting. It really does make a difference. Now, speaking of—
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I ain't gonna lie. The ad rev of YouTube is fucking abysmal, bro. It is. It is.
of things that keep this genre alive, let's get back to why competition is the best thing that could happen to gacha. People love to games as some kind of a war crime. Stop putting games against each other. Like, okay, but how else are we supposed to figure out which ones are actually worth playing?
For anybody who thinks that you shouldn't be comparing games, they're just fucking morons and they don't get how the industry works. Competition breeds success, just like an I breathe your mother.
Aren't just for drama. Although, let's be honest, they do fuel some absolutely hilarious Mr. Pokey tweets. They are how players articulate what works and what doesn't. When someone says, this game is a Genshin killer, what they're really saying is, hey, this one does something better. Maybe it has a fairer gacha system.
By the way,
this one
W editors putting more cat reacts. This will take your videos to the next level. I told bro, get rid of the lolly shit, and he replaced it with cute cats. Infinitely better.
Does something better. Maybe it has a fairer gacha system, more rewarding content, or wild concept, an actual reason to log in beyond daily chores. And yes, and if you're wondering, yes, these debates can get messy. Reddit threads turn into a digital war zone, Discord servers implode, and suddenly you see your favorite streamer Saint Tontus ranting about a Vars 2 video and
Okay, hold up. He's not anybody's favorite content creator, okay? Because if you watch Saint Tontus, you found him through me, and I'm your favorite content creator, okay? Let's just make sure we got all that addressed. Okay, I just want to keep it fair, all right? And he's a good one. He's a good one, but let's just remember where the original was, guys.
Getting into a 1v9 in a gacha cast.
To be fair, Saint Tontas slaughtered in that 1v9. I'm not gonna. Well, it was a 1v4. It was a 1v4. I was the guy who 1v9, by the way. But just remember who the original is. Can I give you a hot take? Do you want to know why Saint Tontas will do better in debates than most CCs of today's day and age? Because Saint Tontas has no respect for anyone, whereas other people are trying to be respectful. And no one will cut him off. And the way the internet thinks is that whoever's talking more wins. The way you beat Saint Tontas is you cut him off. However, a lot of the people in this community just won't do that. And they'll let you say everything. And that's the reason why when I talk with people like Saint Tontas, or when I talk with people like MTash, or I talk with people like Mr. Pokey, there's a phrase that I have to say. And this phrase is commonly considered gaslighting. I don't gaslight. However, I can understand if somebody were to think that I was. But the problem is, when you're dealing with professional yappers, what do I say, guys? What do I say? So what you're saying is, and the reason why I say, so what you're saying is because the internet isn't going to pay attention after the 5-second mark on what they're saying. So I make sure to recondense what they're saying so the audience can be caught back up to what was said, and then I address it in a bite-sized format. However, people who know how I countered their tactic will then say I was gaslighting because they want to lie. And they know when you take all that yap that people aren't paying attention to, think longer talk equals more correct, and you condense it down to what the essence of what they're saying was, the audience can actually consume it, and then you address it, they freak the fuck out. I mean, that's just how it goes, man. But Saint Tontas will be untouchable unless he argues with people who are willing to cut him off, like myself, like Gotcha Smack. It sucks, but it really is like PvP mode enabled for certain people. I think people who are very good at civil debate are actually Gotcha Smack and Genizad. Very good at civil debate. I think Fob is quite good at civil debate as well. I used to be fucking horrible, so I watched about 16 hours of TED Talks on how to be more polite, because I'll be real, I used to debate like a fucking jackass. I'm gonna just be completely real. I'm gonna be completely real. By the way, I think it's completely fine. I think intense debates are good. I think they are very fun. However, it gets very messy very quickly. You used to debate like saying, oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. But I'll be real though, I would like to challenge that. I think I was just a dick, and my way to beat people were to just attack them relentlessly. I don't think Saint does that. I think Saint just talk no jutsus. I'm not a yapper. Like Saint and Ryuku Sensei are like, get those two in a call, that'll be a 5-hour VOD, minimum. Like literally 5-hour VOD, minimum. It will be a yapathon, a fucking yapathon. Why are you shitting on people? Because some people deserve to get shit on. I'm not gonna lie. I think some of the people who I shit on the most were probably Yelan, Slave, Tao, and Soul of an Artist. Yeah, and Atsu. Yeah, nah, I was definitely ripping into them, 100%. Because you can kind of tell how a debate's gonna go before it even starts sometime. Like, for example, me and Mr. Pokey get into a call. Chat is gonna divide. You know it's gonna be his chat versus my chat. And me and Mr. Pokey will try to communicate. You already know he's not gonna understand my analogies, and I'm not gonna understand his accent. And you know it's gonna be about an hour of incoherent ramblings into, oh, we're good. Me talking to Asmongold. You will see my IQ drop in real time. Talking with Asmon just makes me want to be the biggest dumbass on earth. It's just fun. I talk to Emaru. She's not gonna get a word. I like getting Asmon to explain things that I already know, just because I like, that's how Steak and Eggs worked. I go to Steak and Eggs, I act really dumb, and what Asmongold really likes is expanding upon information that he thinks that person doesn't know. And that's how you get him to talk. It was good. Let's keep going here. That's why you play him at 400%.
But that chaos, that's how the
Did you see what happened at the end of that?
But
Me talking after he finished talking is me saying, so what you're saying is, summary here, immediately.
that chaos? That's how the genre evolves. If no one ever questioned the status quo, we would still be playing gacha games with 0.3% SSR rates, and content droughts that make Sumeru deserts from Genshin look like a tropical paradise. Every time people argue over whether a game is a killer, they're actually holding developers accountable. And if that makes some fanboys uncomfortable, well, maybe their favorite game should try a little bit harder. Look, whether you love or hate the Genshin killer label, you can't deny one thing: it gets people talking. In an industry where attention is currency, that is everything. And let's be real, most gacha games launch and disappear faster than Lol Shinya promising daily Twitch streams.
I gotta call him. Pick up like a call from fucking Domino's, buddy boy. Pick up.
Your call has been forwarded to
Oh, fuck! He knew I was gonna tell him to stream, man.
Without a strong marketing hook, they don't even get the chance to prove themselves before they're buried under whatever Hoyoverse is doing next. Calling something a big
Yeah, I gotta change my caller ID to Pizza Hut. Then he would have picked up.
game killer forces people to pay attention. Even if they're just there to mock it, that is still engagement. And guess what? That engagement translates into actual players. People might check out a game just to see if it lines up with the hype, and before they know it, they're 40 polls deep into a banner, convincing themselves they totally don't have an addiction to gacha. Sure, the label is overhyped, but that's the point. If a game launches with zero discussion, it's already dead in the water. If calling it a Genshin killer gets it on people's radar, then guess what? It just won. And you would think the term Genshin killer was some kind.
And they say, well, you're giving the game high expectations to live up to. Yeah, I know. I'm attempting to force developers to make their game not shit. One, I'm getting people to talk about the game. Two, I'm getting people to realize that they do want an alternative. Three, I'm trying to get people to realize that we want more from our games. Calling something the Genshin killer should be done in mass. Because whether you want to admit it or not, it gets people talking every fucking time.
Kind of a personal attack with how some people react to it. Newsflash, competition isn't a death sentence. It's a wake-up call. The second a new game starts gaining traction under this label, it puts
Remember when the Tower of Fantasy was the Genshin killer? Do you remember when Tower of Fantasy was labeled the Genshin killer and it had the biggest gacha launch in history? Guys, I want to remind you. Do you guys remember how many viewers I had on day one of Tower of Fantasy? 35,000. 35,000 viewer on TOF launch. Oh, and you want me to tell you why that's even crazier? Because Asmon was live too with 20K. Yep. That was one of my only streams where I ever had more viewers than Asmon, which was ridiculous. The next day I went live to 5K. We will never reach that again. I'm still not even in my prime. We're not done. We will grow to get bigger every single time, bro. I'm not done. I'm not near even close to retiring. Absolutely not. I have plans, guys. Don't worry. They just take a bit.
Pressure on everyone. Not just the new devs trying to prove themselves, but also the reigning champs who suddenly realize they can't afford to slack off. And that includes Genshin. Because when another game starts doing something better, Hoyoverse actually has to respond. Even if the so-called killer doesn't live up to the hype, it still raises the bar. Maybe it introduces a better pity system, a more rewarding endgame, or heaven forbid, a battle pass that isn't just a glorified chore list. And once players see that, they start demanding more from every game they play. The gacha industry thrives on engagement, and engagement thrives on competition. Without it, we would still be stuck in an era where devs get away with laziness because who else are you gonna play? Every game that enters the ring, whether it wins or not, pushes the whole genre forward. And if Genshin fans were really so confident that nothing could top their favorite game, they wouldn't be so scared of the conversation in the first place.
True.
It doesn't matter if a game actually kills anything. What matters is that people care enough to argue about it. And in an industry built on FOMO and constant engagement, that is everything. People don't realize just how much outrage-fueled marketing works. You see a new game getting called a Genshin killer, and suddenly EO makes a new tweet. YouTubers are making reaction videos on it, and streamers who swore they would never touch another gacha game are booting up just to roast it. And then the
Genshin Impact streamers say, I don't really care, guys. Looks kind of bad. It has everything I wanted for Genshin, but I don't know, dude. Zhao's so freaking hot, dude. Zhao's so freaking hot, dude. Look at Klee. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, the reason why you're so freaked out over new games is because you're worried about your job security. And you know I'm right.
Week later, some of them are hooked to it. Even if a game flops, the fact that it dominated the conversation for even a second means that it did something right. Hype alone can't...
Yeah, well, you see, I would play Wuthering Waves because it has everything I've ever asked for, but the co-op, I don't know, the co-op, it just doesn't have the same co-op. And no, I don't do co-op in Genshin, but if I did, I think I would prefer it, so I just don't think I can swap because of the co-op, to be honest.
Sustain a bad game, but it can give a good game the visibility it needs to survive in a crowded market. If nobody is talking about a game, it might as well not exist. So yeah, the Genshin killer label is overused, but do you know what's worse? Irrelevance. At the end of the day, the real question isn't whether a game can actually kill Genshin, it is whether it can force the genre to evolve. And every time a new game gets that label, that is exactly what happens. It pushes developers to be better, it forces them to innovate instead of just recycling the same formulas.
I like that cat.
It puts pressure into existing games just to keep up instead of coasting on their success. And it makes sure players aren't just accepting whatever is thrown at them, but actively demanding more. So yeah, the term Genshin killer is overused, exaggerated, and sometimes flat out ridiculous. But you know what? It works. It keeps people engaged. It keeps studios on their toes. And it keeps the gacha industry from becoming a complacent, lifeless cash grab. And if your favorite game really is that untouchable, then ask yourself why.
Why what? Why what? Why what? Fuck! Hey, I'll be real, man. Rock, paper, scissors was shaking in its boot when Tic-Tac-Toe came out. Everybody was saying Tic-Tac-Toe is the rock, paper, scissors killer. And we all know it's the truth.